Hi guys, Matt the Editor here, and welcome to another edition of Doctor Who Series 12 Who Editor Reviews. This week, it's Can You Hear Me by Charlene James and Chris Chibnall. Again, this episode, I'm not entirely sure whether I am confused or disappointed with how this episode turned out. I mean, I'm probably one of the minority who might have a different opinion to everyone else. This episode, in my opinion, had such potential. I really wanted to love this episode. Not even love it, but enjoy it. And from the moment I heard the line, "Your fears, my creativity," was heard in the trailer, I immediately got excited. I thought this could be an awesome story to sit through with a cool villain, traveling through different dreams, but especially to establish and develop these the companions. But then I remembered the other times I got excited for the show, and how disappointed I was, and slowly began to lose my excitement. But even when the episode started, I thought it was going to go smoothly. We start off from when the Doctor drops off the TARDIS team home, and we get to see the gang in their everyday lives, which I thought Series 11 was definitely missing for the most part. We see Ryan trying to patch things up with his friend from Spyfall Part 1, Yaz having a dinner conversation with her sister who is figuring to run away, and Graham playing cards with his busmates whilst discussing how things have been without Grace, and the, possibility of his cancer returning. All that stuff was good. I'll even say the scenes with the Doctor on her own were pretty good as well. It did lead to some good moments, and especially when she thinks the gang are still with her and she realizes, oh, she's talking to herself. That was funny, and I wanted to see more of that. If the rest of the episode keeps it up, especially when the villain and the nightmares play a part, we might be in for a great time. And speaking of the villain, I think I should talk about him first before I go into my actual thoughts, because honestly, this is quite possibly one of the coolest villains I've seen in this series. So far, anyway. The villain is played by Ian Gelder, a regular BBC actor, whom you might remember appearing in Torchwood Children of Earth. Now, this is a cool villain. He's intimidating and kinda creepy to watch. The scenes when he is in the shadows are easily the best parts. Even the floating fingers, I'll admit are a little bit silly, but they're very imaginative. Having these fingers sort of poke into people's dreams so that he can sort of meddle with them or take them or something, or just do whatever he wants with them. I'll even say his confrontation scene with the Doctor was done brilliantly. From the acting, the music, and even the build-up to the twist reveal are done really, really well. My eyes were literally glued to the screen at that point. Now, he appears to be a member of the Eternals, a kind of all-powerful god, kind of in comparison to the Black and White Guardians, the Toy Maker Celestial, and it's nice that they got a mention, and I'll even say he's probably closer to the Trickster from the Sarah Jane Adventures. At one point, I was kind of hoping he was going to say, "I am all of them." But all throughout, he's very clearly the Nightmare Man from the Sarah Jane Adventures, an entity who is using children's fears to feed upon in order to take control. However, the backstory behind him and another character whom I can't remember the name, and honestly I don't think we actually needed, but watching it again I thought, actually I think they could work, was nicely done, including an incredible and beautiful looking 2D animated segment. That was a real surprise. I mean, we had seen animated minisodes and specials released from the show, but I don't think I remember there being a 2D animated scene used in recent years of the official show. This is really well done. From the wide backdrop filled with visuals similar to the style of cave paintings or African culture drawings, and my favorite is how they use the star patterns to outline the designs of basically these gods. This was such an amazing sequence that I kind of wished was used as the pre-title scene. Just make a few adjustments to a few of the lines to leave the reveal of Selene and the prison god a mystery, and maybe have Jodie Whittaker voice over it, almost like a fairy tale legend, as if she's telling this story to her gang, which would then lead to the companions having the same dreams and visions of the villain. But despite all that good stuff, I couldn't help but feel entirely confused throughout the whole plot, that all the well-established and emotional or terrifying moments are easily blocked by the confusing storyline and the editing. This episode is given praise for having the show discuss mental health. Now, mental health is a serious subject to discuss. Hell, I sometimes suffer it myself, and even though it could have been illustrated throughout the story well, I'll give this episode credit for actually doing it. Honestly, having the issue of mental health mixed in with the nightmares actually works pretty well, especially when it comes to the companion's stress. Graham's nightmare has him tied up to the hospital bed with Sharon D. Clarke reprising as a vision of Grace, therefore stressing Graham out that maybe his cancer might come back. Ryan sees an old version of his friend in what I think is Earth on Fire with a dreg for some reason. Come on, some people are trying to forget about Orphan 55. Ryan's mate in old age was creepy enough. And Yaz has this continuous vision of her sister by a long road with a police officer watching. All three lead to some really, really beautiful scenes. In particular, Yaz's scene with the 50p police officer. Well, very beautifully done and very touching to watch, but here's my main problem. It's only explored properly in the final 10 minutes. Because it was at the end of the episode, it felt like everything we had gone through with the Doctor, Syria, and the villains was a complete waste of time. Honestly, you could have had the cop scene played before the villain's defeat. Perhaps it could inspire Yaz and the other companions to defeat the villains by overcoming their fears or stress, and then end the episode with Ryan talking to his friend, Graham talking to the Doctor in the TARDIS, and Yaz going to see the cop, therefore making all that they have gone through pay off. That's not to say I didn't like those scenes and the mental health stuff, it just feels too little too late. And yeah, that line the Doctor said to Graham in the TARDIS, that was really harsh. I know she's not social as always, but the Doctor would at least try to calm Graham down, and it wasn't even funny. Also, there is no way the sonic screwdriver would fly from her pocket to her tied up hands like that. Just have the Doctor kick the sonic out of her pocket, drop it to the floor, then use her feet to kick it up to her hand. It's simple logic. Speaking of which, stop it with the sonic ex machina! Now, if I was the editor, and if some people were to come up to me and say, how could I make this episode better? How can we do the mental health stuff better? How could we have it explored better? Simple. Take the scenes with the Doctor, Syria, and the monster out of the episode. Now, I don't want to sound mean. I mean, the actors did fine with what they did. But seriously, what did the stuff in Syria add to the story? I know there was a reason that the Syrian girl, I apologize, I can't remember her name, created this monster from her dreams that does not show up much until the climax. But no, that's just a ridiculous idea. But I'll give credit. Some of the lines from the Doctor talking to herself are humorous to watch, and the set of Syria looks beautiful to look at. I'll even say the opening minutes in Syria were pretty okay as well. I was looking forward to what this could add to the story. But it doesn't help the fact that this episode needed to keep its focus entirely on the companions. I think this needed to be a Doctor Light story, similar to Series 4 Turn Left, or Series 3's Blink, or Series 6 The Girl Who Waited. Those type of stories where the Doctor is taken out of the story and is just letting the companions take control of the narrative. Similar to how Spyfall Part 2 could have just focused on the Doctor's story and keep the TARDIS gang out of it. Well, why not do the same here? Especially since this season might be heading into a dark turn or possible end to this TARDIS team in the finale. Maybe a companion-based story like this could have made the entire time following these companions for 2 series worth it. I even felt at one moment that this was 2 stories merged into one episode, which honestly, I would have preferred either one. Have a story with the Doctor traveling on her own in Syria, and have a separate story with the companions having their mental health nightmares back on Earth. Honestly, in my opinion, I can't believe I have to say this, but honestly, Sarah Jane Adventures did this story better. Think about it. Luke Smith had anxiety and fears of moving into college or perhaps being forgotten by his family and friends. The Nightmare Man's motives and intentions fits well, and we actually got to explore the dreams from all the companions, which would then lead to the villain's destruction. Therefore, having the companions be the main focus and letting the star title character take a back seat. This episode could have taken elements of that story except do it in a different way. I know some people have said it, but if you take the Doctor out, then how would they do the stuff in the climax? I would start off with having the Doctor on her own, maybe in the TARDIS, and maybe she arrives in Syria to visit, and she sees Selim appear, which could then lead to him affecting the TARDIS team's dreams. The gang would then use what they saw in their dreams to find the ship, and maybe find the Doctor either captured or waiting for them. The next scene would pretty much be similar to what we got in the episode, but instead of having the Doctor use the screwdriver or coming up with an excuse to make the Syrian girl relevant to the plot, I would have the companions and their mates who were affected by Selim's nightmares come together to face their anxiety fears, which makes the villains weak and therefore trapped in their own prison. Not to say we didn't get elements of that in the actual episode, but I just sort of feel like the companions could have taken center stage, rather than just have the Doctor just spell out some scientific gobbledygook or something. Now here's the thing. This is not a terrible episode, by all means. I see a good story in this story. I feel like there are lots of really good things about it, and the things that I didn't like about it could have been so easily fixed. The acting was really good, the ideas explored for the most part is done well, and the focus on the nightmares, mental health or anxieties with the companions are handled pretty well. But it's not explored even more because of such a lazy script, and possibly a lazy editor. And you cannot be lazy when you're tackling mental health. You cannot just put it at the last 10 minutes. You have to fit it throughout the story. But with that said, I think it can. Already people are praising this episode for tackling mental health, and yeah, as I mentioned before, there are a couple of really good visual moments. Maybe there was some stuff I missed out, and maybe I might grow to like it a bit more in the future viewings. I can't think of anything that's like god awful that's gonna mess everyone up by watching it. For me, it just felt fine. I just kind of wish there was more than that. If you like this episode, fine, more power to you. But for me, I'm going to go and watch the Sarah Jane Adventures again. So overall, I'm giving this episode 5 out of 10. Be sure to leave a comment, like and share this video, and if you have seen the episode, what did you think about it? And if you'd like to see more of my videos, don't forget to subscribe. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.